1. Which of the following principles of adult learning is most important when developing a curriculum for a learner's license registration test? A. Adults learn best when they can apply new information to real-life situations. B. Adults prefer highly structured, step-by-step instruction with minimal flexibility. C. Adults are most engaged when they are presented with memorization exercises. D. Adults respond best to passive learning without active involvement. 2. What is the primary goal of using multiple-choice questions in the assessment of a learner's license registration test? A. To test the learner's ability to memorize the exact content of traffic laws. B. To assess the learner's understanding of key traffic regulations and safe driving practices. C. To evaluate the learner's ability to guess the correct answer without understanding the content. D. To assess the learner's ability to perform complex driving maneuvers without proper preparation. 3. In the context of preparing for a learner's license registration test, which instructional method is most likely to engage adult learners effectively? A. Lecture-based teaching with no opportunities for interaction. B. Group discussions and collaborative problem-solving activities. C. A highly structured curriculum with limited real-world applications. D. A focus on memorization and rote learning of traffic laws. 4. Which of the following is the most important consideration when developing a test for a learner's license registration test? A. The test should focus primarily on theoretical knowledge without any practical scenarios. B. The test should be based on real-life driving situations and scenarios to evaluate practical knowledge. C. The test should be as long as possible to challenge learners' memory. D. The test should use obscure traffic laws that have little real-world relevance. 5. What role does mentoring play in preparing adult learners for a learner's license registration test? A. Mentoring should focus on encouraging learners to memorize traffic laws word for word. B. Mentoring should help learners understand the real-world application of traffic laws through feedback and guidance. C. Mentoring should be limited to answering questions without providing practical insights. D. Mentoring should focus only on the technical aspects of the test without engaging in discussions about road safety. 6. Which of the following adult learning principles is best supported by incorporating real-life examples into the curriculum for a learner's license registration test? A. Adults learn best through passive activities, such as watching videos. B. Adults learn most effectively when they can connect new information to their own experiences. C. Adults prefer learning abstract concepts without application to real-world scenarios. D. Adults retain information best when the content is highly theoretical and lacks personal relevance. 7. What method of evaluation is most effective for measuring an adult learner's understanding of traffic regulations? A. A written test that includes a mix of multiple choice and scenario-based questions. B. A timed quiz that focuses only on memorization of road signs. C. A peer review process where learners grade each other's performance. D. A self-assessment checklist with no feedback from an instructor. 8. How can curriculum development best be tailored to meet the needs of adult learners preparing for a learner's license registration test? A. By designing a one-size-fits-all curriculum that doesn't account for diverse learning styles. B. By allowing learners to dictate the pacing and content based on their individual needs. C. By providing a structured step-by-step approach that includes both theory and hands-on driving practice. D. By focusing solely on written tests and ignoring practical driving skills. 9. Which of the following strategies best promotes communication between instructors and adult learners in the context of a learner's license registration test? A. Offering one-way lectures where learners do not have an opportunity to ask questions. B. Providing opportunities for learners to engage in active discussions and ask questions during instruction. C. Relying on automated feedback from a computer program without instructor involvement. D. Limiting communication to formal written notices without any verbal interaction. 10. What is the role of regulatory compliance in preparing learners for a learner's license registration test? A. To emphasize the importance of disregarding minor traffic regulations in emergency situations. B. To ensure learners are aware of the consequences of violating traffic laws and the importance of safety. C. To prepare learners to pass the test regardless of whether they understand traffic laws fully. D. To encourage learners to memorize traffic regulations without considering their practical application. 11. In a mentoring relationship, what is the most important skill for the mentor to develop when guiding a learner through preparation for a learner's license registration test? A. Helping a learner memorize traffic laws without understanding their purpose. B. Encouraging the learner to ask questions, reflect on feedback, and apply their knowledge to real-world scenarios. C. Ensuring the learner is only focused on test-taking strategies rather than developing safe driving habits. D. Providing answers to test questions without encouraging the learner to engage with the material. 12. How can practical driving simulations enhance adult learners' understanding in preparation for a learner's license registration test? A. By providing a hands-on approach where learners can apply traffic laws in a controlled, safe environment. B. By focusing only on theoretical knowledge without any real-world application. By using simulations that don't reflect real-life driving scenarios, which leads to confusion. D. By allowing learners to bypass practical driving experience altogether and rely on theoretical knowledge. 13. What is the most effective way to incorporate feedback into the preparation for a learner's license registration test? A. Providing generic, vague feedback with no specific examples or suggestions for improvement. B. Offering personalized, constructive feedback on both the learner's knowledge of traffic laws and driving performance. C. Giving feedback only at the end of the course with no opportunities for improvement during the process. D. Using feedback solely to criticize errors without offering solutions or guidance. 14. What instructional strategy best supports the adult learner's need for independence in preparing for a learner's license registration test? A. Giving the learner full control over the pacing and structure of the curriculum. B. Offering only passive activities like watching videos without opportunities for active engagement. C. Providing detailed instructions, but allowing for independent practice and reflection. D. Restricting learners to a fixed one-size-fits-all curriculum with no room for flexibility. 15. How can instructors encourage adult learners to engage with traffic laws and regulations in a way that prepares them for the learner's license registration test? A. By focusing solely on memorizing road signs and rules without any practical context. By providing opportunities for learners to apply what they've learned through real-life examples, case studies, and discussions. C. By using a purely theoretical approach that doesn't allow learners to connect concepts to their personal experiences. D. By requiring learners to work independently without instructor involvement or feedback. 16. What is the most effective way to evaluate a learner's practical knowledge and skills for the learner's license registration test? Administering a written test on road signs and traffic regulations without any hands-on application. B. Observing the learner during a live driving simulation or practical driving test to assess their real-world skills. C. Relying exclusively on online quizzes and practice tests without practical evaluation. D. Asking learners to complete a theoretical test that only assesses knowledge without performance. 17. What is the most appropriate strategy for teaching adult learners how to safely navigate complex road situations in preparation for a learner's license registration test? A. Using only passive learning techniques such as reading materials without hands-on practice. B. Incorporating real-world scenarios and simulations that reflect the complexity of driving situations. C. focusing solely on memorization of rules without any application to actual driving experiences. D. Relying on theoretical exercises that don't incorporate real-world situations. 18. Which of the following best describes the role of self-directed learning in preparing for a learner's license registration test? A. Learners should rely entirely on instructors to provide answers to every question. Learners should be encouraged to take responsibility for their own learning using resources such as practice tests and driving simulators. C. Learners should memorize content without critically thinking about the material or its application. D. Self-directed learning is unnecessary since the test is based solely on memorization. 19. How can technology, such as driving simulators or mobile apps, enhance an adult learner's preparation for a learner's license registration test? A. By providing passive content that does not require active engagement from the learner. By offering interactive, scenario-based learning that helps learners apply traffic laws and driving techniques. C. By replacing all classroom-based instruction with virtual simulations. D. By offering content that is not aligned with real-world driving regulations or scenarios. 20. What should be the primary focus when developing the study materials for adult learners preparing for a learner's license registration test? A. The materials should focus solely on road signs without considering other aspects of traffic laws. B. The materials should provide a comprehensive understanding of traffic laws, including their application to real-world driving situations. C. The materials should be easy to memorize, even if they are not entirely relevant to actual driving. D. The materials should contain only theory and exclude practical driving skills. 21. What is the role of feedback during the preparation for the learner's license registration test? A. Feedback should be given only after the learner passes the test. E. Feedback should be timely and constructive, helping learners adjust their approach and improve their performance. C. Feedback should be vague and nonspecific, allowing learners to interpret it on their own. D. Feedback should focus solely on criticism without offering solutions or guidance.